Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Nikola Petkovic, and in this video we'll be talking about Dubai real estate market, specifically the report on quarter 2 of this year 2022. So through the video we'll be going through some points like inflation and interest rates, oil prices, and then we'll go to individual months of April, May and June. Then we'll see how they look at combined as a quarter 2 overview, and we'll talk a little bit about this year so far or year to date. So you'll see how the performance is in this quarter. You'll see a little bit from before or year to date, as I mentioned, and we'll see where that is taking us next. So where the market's going, if the prices will continue to rise. So we start from the inflation, which is a huge factor, and a lot of people are talking about it, especially since all the printing of money that we have in 2020 and start of 2021. What you can see below are U.S. Inflation rates. So on the left side here, we have a actual measurement. So you can see through the history from whenever they first started to measure it until now. So it has reached well over 8%. So 8.6 is what these are official figures from the government of the United States, and there's a lot of reports that these rates are actually higher, but this is what's officially reported. Now in UAE, we don't have this problem to that amount. There is definitely some inflation, but closer to 3.5, maybe maximum 4%, if even so, which is also unusual for here. But it's very important to understand, and it will give us a big sign of what's gonna come next. So, since this inflation is not transitory, from what some have believed, it's not gonna go anywhere anytime soon. From what appears, we are going on to interest rates. Now, interest rates starting from the US have been increased in one of the ways to battle the inflation, and UAE has followed to also increase the interest rates from the central bank. So central bank of UAE has also increased. At this moment we are around 3%, which happened on 15th of June this year. It was a second or third jump this year, so it has been increased by 50 basis points above the rate. And what you can see is through the history how the interest rate was going. So increase from original 1% back in 2014 and before, and at the moment we are on a highest level of 3%. But we have a little bit further of a history down on the second picture at the bottom of the screen, so you can see that this is actual stats from 2007 to today in 2022, and the highest inflation that was since 2007, highest interest rate since 2007 from the central bank of UAE was 4.75. So it's a figure to have in mind. Now, why this is important to look at as well is because of all the mortgages. So people who are looking to buy properties through mortgages had a better they have definitely better interest rates and can struck a better deal with the bank before than they can now, because interest rates are high. They might go even higher depending on the overall situation. They probably will by the end of the year, but this is not affecting the UAE real estate market as much or anywhere near as US. Why? Because in UAE, majority of buyers are actual cash buyers, and we have ways to overcome that as well. So, if we expect that the interest rates for mortgages will keep increasing, what you will see is a lot of developers who will be adopting to it, and who will also be releasing sort of a longer payment plans or post handover payment plans, which were also active, if we remember, from around 2019 especially. And you can see how the interest rates were there at that point. They were high as well. So keeping that in mind, we'll move on. Oil price, which boosts the economy additionally here in UAE and any country that's oil exporting. So at the moment it's around $105 per barrel. So it has been fluctuating, as we can see, for the past couple of months, reaching the highest points a little bit over 120 per barrel. For the last video that I made in a report of Q1, at the time it was around 109 dirham per $109 per barrel. And at this moment it's 105. It looks like it's gonna stay there, or it's gonna actually grow a bit more as prices are increasing everywhere. So with that, we'll go to individual months, and we'll start from April of 2022. Now, in the month of April, we had a total of 6,942 transactions regarding real estate in specifically Dubai. These 6,942 transactions together amount to 18.1 billion dirhams, and you can see the distribution below. Also, you can see the change here compared to the April of last year, which is 2021. So there is 43.5% growth versus the same time of April last year. In apartments, we see that 54.6% is the increase in the apartment transactions, which is total of 4,515 transactions valued together at 8.4 billion dirhams. Villas have seen a growth as well, 37% compared to April last year, 1,813 transactions worth of 6.2 billion. Plots have become popular as well, and we see that commercial is in drop as it was expected. Now for May, it's a very similar situation, 6,687 transactions. Together they amount to value of 18.4 billion dirhams. And we can see that also it has a huge increase of 52.5% when we compare it to May of 2021. So almost above 50% of increase compared to the last year that time. And again, it's dominated, the transactions are dominated by apartments, 4,707 apartments, 61% increase for apartments versus May last year. 9.7 billion dirhams is the worth of total transactions for the apartments. 1,411 villas, 32% increase on the previous year. 4.7 billion is the transaction of these villas. Now commercial have moved a bit better in May, and they have an increase as well. So compared to the previous year, but if we see here, they have fallen from the actual April. So in April we had 228 commercial transactions, and in May there were 192. Plots are there as well, 377, which is almost 50% increase on the previous year. Now June we had an additional boost, and in June alone we had 8,851 transactions. Together they amounted to 22.8 billion dirhams, and it's an increase of 41% compared to the June of last year. 5,882 transactions for apartments only in month of June, 41% increase versus June in last year for apartments only. These 5,882 transactions are equivalent to value of 10.9 billion dirhams. 1,988 villas as well, 7 billion in total, 292 commercials, and 689 plots. So how does this resonate to the total quarter? So total Q2 of this year, 2022, in value amounts to 59.3 billion dirhams. So there were transactions in value equivalent to 59.3 billion dirhams in Q2 only of this year. Quarter on quarter compared to previous quarter, it's 7.2% increase, while if we compare quarter of 2022 versus Q2 of 2021, the value is up 61.5%, so huge increase. Anyhow, the number of transactions combined is 22,482 transactions, which are a significant jump. 15,106 apartments combined, 5,212 villas have been transacted, 712 commercial properties, and 1,452 plots. So a very large increase. Total worth of apartments of 29 billion dirham out of 59.3 total, and villas have a huge contribution as well with 17.8 billion dirhams. If we look at the value of this quarter compared to the same quarter of the previous years, we can see a representation by these blocks here. It is the biggest one since even before 2014. So a lot of records have been broken, and it has increased significantly. Now, if you pay attention to the previous picture, or the first one here where my mouse cursor is, what you will see is the number of transactions that have been done through mortgage. So these are 5,818 transactions have been, these are mortgaged properties or bought properties through banks and mortgage. And they are equivalent to value of 18.2 billion dirhams, which is a significant drop. Now, this drop, why it's happening, is because, as I mentioned previously, on mortgage rates are higher. So a lot of people is opting not to go for it. Those who actually follow the overall financial sector and know what's going on. Even with these stats and these very large drops, so you see 39.8% in comparison to quarter 2 of 2021 is the drop for mortgages, because there were a lot better interest rates available in quarter 2 of last year. But even with this drop of 40%, we are still breaking a lot of records. And as I said, like you can see the representation by this block here in 2022, or this specific quarter 2, compared to the previous one, which is what I've been telling you from the start, and what I told you at the start of the year as well when I made a few videos here also, that it doesn't have that much of an effect here. Now, when it comes to top areas, I want to tell you a few things there as well. Top areas of performance in quarter 2. So since we know in quarter 2 only we had 59.3 billion worth of dirhams worth of transaction. The number one area would be Business Bay, followed by Dubai Marina. Next is Downtown, and then Damak Lagoons, followed by Jumeirah Village Circle, also known as JVC. So these are the top 5 areas for quarter 2 of this year, where the biggest amount of transactions happened. And we're gonna finish with looking at year to date, what is going on through the whole year. So Dubai property market in this year so far had a 45,205 sales transactions total, which are worth 122.6 billion dirhams. These are transactions, again, only in 2022 so far, so for the first 2 quarters completed. And we can see the growth of the market compared to previous year. So overall, year to date compared, it is 58.1% higher than 2021. And value-wise, it's staggering 88.2% difference. So almost doubling the amount of money that entered the market from the previous year. Knowing all this, we can see that market is gonna keep going this way. So we expect quarter 3 as well. There is might be a little bit slower due to the heat, but it does not actually mean anything, because there is a lot of foreign investors who are constantly buying properties here, investing their money wisely. Anyway, we expect the prices to keep going based on all of this, and we expect a good number of transactions as well. People are looking to invest their money, especially with this inflation. Anyone who has money sitting in a bank is just losing it. We see what's happening with the stock market and everything else as well. So people are opting to invest here in Dubai. If you are also looking to make a smart investment here and earn something for your money or put your money to work, feel free to contact me. We'll go through exactly what you're looking for and work out the best option for you. As always, you can find my details and contact details in the description of this video, or I'll pin the comment as well. Feel free to reach out and take care until I see you next time. Bye bye.